Recording in progress.
Father, we thank you for the day that you've given to us. We thank you for the many blessings that you give to us each and every day. We thank you for the safety that you provided to us and our families, our community this weekend as the storms have come through our area. We pray for those that are less fortunate than us that did have damage and have losses. Pray for those that are sick and hurting tonight. Tonight we pray for the commission as they hear the business of the county. We pray that you'll give them wisdom and give them guidance to help us make this a better place to live for us and those that we serve. We just ask all these blessings in your name. Amen.
Amen. If everyone stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yes, sir. Mr. Simpkins?
Here.
Mr. Eby? Mr. McElwain?
Here.
Mr. Beatty? Mr. Dawson?
Here.
Ms. Spicer? Mr. Buckner?
Here.
Mr. Ellis?
Here.
Mr. Petty?
Here.
Mr. Williams?
Here.
Ms. Hayes? Mr. Reed?
We do have a quorum. Mr. Eby is on an anniversary trip. Mr. Beatty's foot is mangled. We'll show pictures later. And Ms. Hayes is feeling a little under the weather. First order of business is approval of the minutes of the November 1st, 2021 work session. I have a motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Buckner. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item is committee reports. Any committees to report? Hearing none. The next is appointments. We have no appointments this month. Next item of business, new business, budget amendment, all school funds, Board of Education Representative, Dr. Danny Weeks.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to present tonight's amendments to our budget. The first amendment that you see on top is a revenue line item. This is the Safe Schools grant that our school system received in the amount of $265,000 and some change. And that goes to help us pay for safety and security equipment, cameras, SROs, and different things of that nature. So you see in the top line item, the 265 revenue, and then the expenditures down the left side of the, or excuse me, the right column of the page. At the bottom, you'll see that we have revenue coming in from an insurance recovery. These are from our buses. We had a bus that was hit in an accident. I guess that was back in September or October. And then we had another bus that was damaged in the flood. So you see the insurance recovery on those two buses. And we're asking to take $203,586 out of fund balance so that we can replace those buses. And so again, you'll see both of those amendments are balanced amendments at 265 and then 467.
Any questions for Dr. Weeks? Hearing none, I'll open the floor for a motion to move this on to regular session. Motion by Commissioner McElwain, second by Commissioner Buckner. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Weeks. Next item of business, budget amendment, all funds except schools. Mr. Don Hall.
Thank you, Mayor. The items I sent you the other day was the Highway Department. I have an amendment to request here. It's in the wheel tax. I'm not asking for anything that's not going to be a safe amendment here. It's $8,000. It's where I do an estimate every year for the 5-year average for the Highway Department. And we have to meet this 5-year average to get gas tax from the state. And I underestimated. I was doing the report, started working on the report probably about 10 days ago. And each year I have to kind of estimate that report when I'm doing the budget. And on my worksheets, I met that in my estimates. But as I fill out the report, I missed it by about $7,988. So the state will reduce our gas tax dollar for dollar. So I talked to CTAS, and they said I can go ahead and do an amendment to get that squared away. So I need this $8,000 to be approved by you guys, and it's not going to cost us any more money. We'll exceed this right here in our actual dollars this year. So I just need to get this right here as some housekeeping.
Thank you. Any question, Mr. Hall?
Is that because of the cost of fuel?
It's revenues. No, it's just where
Is that a factor that you missed?
no, there was no factor. I didn't get my estimates correct. It's just where I messed up in my calculations or something.
Make a motion approved.
Motion by Commissioner Simpkins. To have a second. Second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Yeah, thank y'all.
He was trying to get by with that, Commissioner Simpkins, but you aired him out. He fouled off $7,900. I'll put that in his review. Oh. Item number 3 is financial assurance for solid waste. What we do in this every year, this is an annual thing. For y'all that have been here, you recall, instead of buying a bond for the work at solid waste, we do a financial assurance letter that Dickson County government stands behind that. So this is cheaper and easier to do. So it's an annual deal. So I open the floor for a motion to move this on to regular session. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Petty. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 4 is Comcast contract for solid waste. They are changing a phone, which they can get it done on an annual contract of $159 a month, but if they do it for 2 years, then it's $139 a month. So for the savings, we thought it'd be best to bring it to the commission since it's a contract or a lease that lasts more than a year, so we need y'all's approval to do that. I'll open the floor for a motion. Motion by Commissioner Reed. I have a second. Second by Commissioner Spicer. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item number 5, this has come up, and I think everybody that watches even a minute of the news realizes that supply chain issues are out there on many things, but the one that affects us is our vehicles. Some of the turnaround times right now for ambulances and police patrol cars, the time's getting extended. If you read a lot of the things that have been done, that Ford, Chevrolet, some of those have cut their production on this. So what we're recommending we do is go on and purchase the vehicles for our 2022, 2023 budget so we can get the order in now. One, we can, that gives us a 6-month head start. It's going to probably take that long to deliver them. And that way we can hone in on what the prices are now to get those done. Mr. Bear's ambulances that we typically take about 6 months to get is probably going to take 11 months. So we're going to get it at the usual time if we order it now. We estimate right now that roughly it's going to be about $600,000. So we take that $600,000 out of fund balance now, and then next year's budget, we won't have any vehicles to order in that because we've already ordered the vehicles fiscal year 2023 on that. So again, that's one of the good things about having a healthy fund balance. We have money to do that, and we can kind of get ahead of this. The other issue too is, as you all know, when everybody's budget's approved on July 1st, we're not only competing with every county in Tennessee, but we're every municipal and county government across the United States. So this is kind of get a head start on that. So be glad to answer any questions on what our thinking is on that. Commissioner Buckner. Not at this point, because we want to get your permission to do it. Then we're going to go out and, yes, I mean, we'll have it tied into the price. Because once we put an order in, then it's solidified on the state contract. Now it's just the time to get it turned over. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the sheriff, has he ever considered buying pickups for the patrol? I've heard a lot of people talk about that, about that, the cars being, our roads and stuff's in bad shape and they're tearing them up real bad.
We do have some police trucks in service, special divisions from detectives to the warrants division. And they are, it's the same dilemma, whether it's a truck or an SUV.
Which one is the cheapest, or would do the best job?
The SUVs and the trucks both do well. They don't even offer sedans anymore. You got couple choices with Ford, four-door, four-wheel drive, police package pickup truck, or the SUV. And so, depending on what the assignment is, they both work really well. And like I say, the trucks are a little bit less, or at least they were. Now, I can't say, I mean, it's not tens of thousands of dollars. It's maybe a few $1,000s less.
We find them to be comparable on what we've looked at inside ambulance service, Mr. Fisher's vehicle. So it's really comparable. We've never really gotten into the details of it, especially with the Sheriff's Department. We just let them determine their needs on that. Thank you, Sheriff. Well, I'm looking for a motion, a second, move this on regular session. Motion by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Spicer. Any other questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Opposed? Thank you. We've got a couple of things we're going to need to add tonight on this that we found out since the agenda was set out on Wednesday afternoon. The first is there's an opioid settlement out there from all the large companies on this, where they've got $1 billion settlement to be divided among governments across the United States and state, local governments. There was different ways to go about doing this. You could have fought this on its own, but you would have all the resources and call witnesses and things of that type. So what we are proposing we do is we join with the state of Tennessee and all the other counties in Tennessee to go after that lawsuit money, and they're nearing a settlement. So now time is the essence on this deal, which was just brought to our attention. So I've said enough to get confusing, so now I'll turn over to Brian Reagan to clean up everything I just said.
No, that was exactly right. The state of Tennessee, with other states and some counties, has been pursuing litigation for some time now, and it just made more sense for a county like ours to not try to go out and independently bring an action against these companies. And so the state and the other participants have reached terms for an agreement with several companies now that were either manufacturers and or distributors of opioids. And there's a long-term payout. It's virtually impossible right now to have any idea of what we might receive as a county dollar-wise, but there is a formula that would be applied across states and counties to come up with what that number would look like. But there is a January 2nd cutoff in order to join this as a settlement party. And so what will be, if you vote to move this on to the regular session, what you'll be asked to vote on in 2 weeks will be to give the mayor authority for the county to enter into this settlement agreement and this process with the state in order to be a participant and a recipient of benefits as the money is distributed out as a part of this settlement. I do have a kind of a one-page sheet that has a link to a website, so you could read to your heart's content on here about all the details, and you'll glaze over. But some of you may want to look at that. And Mayor, if I can step around behind you, I'll
Sure.
pass this out over here. But after looking at that, if you do have any questions about it, I'm not sure if we'll be able to answer it, but we can get an answer. So if you do have a question, feel free to contact either the mayor or you can contact my office about it, and we'll be glad to follow up.
Contact Mr. Reagan's office. This, and again, we started with late notice on this, but it's just come up where they're nearing settlement, and this is going to go through January 1st. So, again, our hands are really tied on what we can do or can't do, and so this is our best course of action. So what we would like to do is get a motion and a second to move this on to regular session, and hopefully we'll have some more details as we go forward on this. Commissioner Reed? Motion by Commissioner Reed, to have a second, second by Commissioner Petty. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none. Oh, I'm sorry.
This thing here, it says how the money will be spent. Would it be up to the sheriff's office, who will make the decision?
It'll come back to this body. And it has several different things you'll read in there, anything from enforcement to rehabilitation and several things in between. But like any spending, that's be y'all's determination. I'm sure the sheriff has some ideas. Okay, we do have a motion second. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Next item of business, compensation plan. As you know, we have a compensation plan that operates for Dickson County government. That it's a strata that was approved back in 2016 that was agreed upon by the elected officials and then passed by this body on how we determine rank of pay based on your positions on all that, and that's worked very well for us. However, any elected official can choose not to be a part of the compensation plan. So since we sent this out Wednesday night, we had a Thursday and a Friday meeting where we informed one of the elected officials do not want to be in the compensation plan anymore, which is their legal right to do that. But one of the things that we need to talk about is on what we passed back in I think August, we did the early retirement situation where you could take early retirement. Well, what paid for the early retirement was the savings by using the compensation plan. As Commissioner Dawson, I explained one night and he asked me to do it and I showed y'all in form. If you have a higher paid employee that retires, that savings goes back into the pot, which pays for the early retirement on that. Well, if you're not in the compensation plan, you're not putting money back into that. So what we're asking on the compensation plan is simply, if you do not participate in the compensation plan, that your employees are not eligible for the early retirement on that. So it's just a basic sense of fairness is what we're looking for. So we'd just like to move that on to the regular session. Open the floor for a motion. Motion coming by Commissioner Dawson, second by Commissioner Petty. Any discussions or questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote by stating aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. The last thing is we were supposed to have a special session tonight for apportionment redistricting, but because of how the holiday fell, we weren't able to get the ad in on a timely basis. So we're going to have that on the agenda for the December 20th meeting. So we'll be in a position then to get that passed. Now that is our final meeting of the calendar year, so it has to be passed by December 31st. So we sent the plan back out, I think maybe it was Tuesday or Wednesday of last week. Everybody has that now. Had a couple of commissioners had concerns. I think we've answered those. Commissioner Beatty's not here tonight, but he was okay with his plan. And I think Commissioner Ellis, unless you've had some questions since Friday, I think he was okay. So that was the real question on that. So, but if you have any questions or anything we need to do, it'd be really efficient for us to get it done over the next 2 weeks. I know you're in a position where you can't directly talk to each other. It violates sunshine law, but if you've got any questions, please contact me and I'll be glad to get with the two commissioners to where we can work that out to your satisfaction. But I think we've done a really good plan. I think the plan we did initially was good. I think the second with the adjustments is even better, and that's what we want to do is the best plan. So that will be on the December 20th meeting on that. So yes, Commissioner Elliott.
Once that has to go in the paper, is that going to be like a public hearing there?
No, it's not a public hearing. It's just it's a vote by the commission. Any other questions? That doesn't require a vote then. It's going to be on the agenda then. Next is other business. The CTO 253, that's the state requirement that whenever we borrow money and the borrowing is complete, we're to notify the commission in a meeting. That was the borrowing for the fire trucks. That borrowing is complete now. Money's in the bank, so we're waiting on that. Mr. Fisher is, I believe, having a meeting tomorrow night with the different fire departments and the people that build and maintain the trucks to get their input on what they want their trucks to be like. So that, I think that's, yeah, it's tomorrow night is when he's having that meeting. Let's see. Any other business, any other announcements? Yes, Commissioner Dawson.
Tonight I came in, everything was talking to Mr. Darnell, and I was understanding, like Mr. Ellis maybe was, whatever, that he said something about a public hearing. And also I was going to ask Brian about this deal, about this done yet. I mean, what kind of recourse is that gonna be for the landowners, to get that changed, or what we gotta do? I mean, 'cause there's a lot of big ones, Dickson County's got a lot of property, it's got sometimes four lines to the property. My dad-in-law being one of them. And, he's got probably, if the way I understand it, it's a 600-something foot right of way going through the property for each line. Well, that's gonna take up all of his property. So, I mean, that can't be. I mean, and especially if he's gonna be paying taxes on it, that don't make good sense.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about.
Could you explain to him what I'm talking about?
What he's talking about.
Do you mind coming up to the podium? That way we can get you on record, everybody can hear you at home.
The 1st of July, the state of Tennessee passed on certain interstate transmission lines that they're gonna require a 600 and something foot easement, and the developer has to talk to the pipeline, and they're supposed to know about it. It's something that took effect. I do have some information on it I can get you.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, so just something I'd have to take a look at, Commissioner Dawson. Sure.
Because, I mean, everybody sort of blindsided.
I understand. Mr. Arnell, if you don't mind not only sending it to Mr. Reagan, but if you'd send all 12 commissioners so
Sure.
they could have the information on that,
Yeah, that
that'd
was
be
something that the
helpful.
state passed that took effect the 1st of July of this year.
See, I got a copy of it when I went to the planning committee, and that's where I seen my copy, I mean, but, I didn't understand exactly, I just thought they had to be so many feet. I mean, if it takes up 600-something feet of each line, I mean, my goodness, that's, I mean, some of the lines is 30, 40 feet apart. I mean, it's gonna wipe some of the farms from out. I mean, as far as being able to recoup into their money, I mean,
That's good. Well, we'll have Mr. Reagan looking at Mr. Darnell.
Sure.
Thank you, and we'll report back at the 20th. Yes, Commissioner McElwain?
Bob, on top of that, would that be the same way for this new proposed gas line that's supposedly coming through our area?
That's a good question, and we'll
Cumberland City, I mean,
look at that also, because I had not heard this information until tonight.
I don't know nothing about it either, but that's really gonna be a big impact on.
well, I can tell you a little bit about something, because they're down in the house, but up above, they bought the property where they're gonna start off right there. But what they're gonna do is they're gonna stay with the transmission lines. They're gonna gonna come over, hit transmission lines and go all the way down.
I understand, but will it still be 600 foot right?
Exactly.
I'm sure all of it, if it pertains to part of it, I don't know.
Well, we'll make sure that's on the agenda and report back next, 2 weeks, if that's okay.
Maybe we need to file for interstate transport on that oil stuff that's going across the property. Maybe they all start paying, transport, I mean, the legal right of some substance.
If nothing else, I'll let's tap into it and get what we need. Yeah.
The problem is, it's gonna be natural gas,
Yeah, the one is natural.
natural gas.
I thought they already had a natural gas line to come and see.
Are they gonna put a new one?
No, they're gonna put a new
Well,
one.
I don't think it's gonna be a bigger one, it's gonna be a.
Around that
It's 36 inches, right,
Comes
Randy?
off East
Well,
Pine, it goes from Cumberland City.
It's 36 inches.
Well,
36 inches? Oh.
well,
They're moving away from coal-fired plant, what it basically, and that's what they're gonna run it with, so. Good.
Did anybody else get a thing from the company?
I did, I got a letter.
That's what I was thinking. It's pretty good information on there, what they're
I tell you something, this could be a serious thing, because if we don't get a handle on it, see what we can do, because the county, I mean, they eat up the gas lines all over that whole works. If a man's property is deemed worthless, I mean, and he's still paying high taxes, I mean, gonna be awful mad people out there.
I understand, and
I
we're,
got one, he just texted me.
yeah, okay, well, we'll work on that on the 20th. I appreciate everyone's input. Got some announcements, Commissioner Reed? We got some announcements. Yeah, yeah, unless there's something else you want to talk about.
This Saturday, starting at 4:30, and, you're gonna be in it supposedly, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
And the sheriff, you're gonna lead it, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, it's supposed to rain. I talked to the mayor tomorrow, but it's about 80% chance of rain Saturday, too, she said.
Well, thanks for cheering us up.
I'll be happy to loan the mayor some excellent rain gear.
Well, I've been in one of those before, so I think one in White Bluff, probably about 4 or 5 years ago, it rained on us, it seemed like. Or maybe it was over, it got wet.
Gonna be Burns involved with it, Charlotte, of course, White Bluff, Van Lear,
Excellent.
just White Bluff. We're hoping to pick the turn down.
Well, is what weather going to stop by the 6:30 for the Dickson parade?
I don't know.
Okay. Things hadn't been right since Bill Hall died, that's all I can say.
We do have a veterans float, and we invite all the veterans to get in on the float.
Cool, that's great. Other than rainy parades, anybody else got any other announcements? Anything? Oh, I do have one here on your holiday list that was passed out that we approved. On the bottom, it showed that it was going to be on December 23rd and 26th, 2021 again. So Star Moore was appropriately punished for this. She hadn't gotten any allowance this month, but that's actually December 2022 on that. We'll send you a new list out to everybody. So the other announcement here is the Dickson County Agriculture Extension Committee will have a special call meeting on Tuesday, December 14th at 5 p.m. and the meeting will be held at the Dickson County Government Building, 303 Hensley Drive, Dickson, and Jan 8 Harris Community Room. Is there any other announcements before I give the last one? Hearing none, then, the next work session will be on Monday, January 3rd, 2022, before Cotton Dawson's birthday, before we get back. But I can't have, dadgummit. He almost got fined for not letting me know. I hope you have a good birthday on the 16th. What's a year? I mean, come on.
No, don't say that, Cotton.
Well, I think it's halfway through. The next work session will be on January 3rd, 2022 at 7 p.m. in the Beefordale Booty Reed County Commission Chamber, Dickson County Administration Building, 4 Court Square, Charlotte, Tennessee. Have a motion. Thank you.
Recording stopped.